All right, we're going to get started here in just a moment. All right, let's get rolling. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It is 12:33. This session will be recorded as well, so feel free, after we distribute the recording to share it with any of your colleagues. To start it, I am Sean. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Hopskip. For those of you that might not be as familiar as others of what Hopskip is, Hopskip's a platform that streamlines how groups and meetings are sourced and booked at hotel properties. We're about 6.5-ish years old, growing really fast. And one of the unique differentiators about Hopskip that some of you might not be familiar with is planners actually pay to utilize the Hopskip platform. So there's a free version of Hopskip for hotels, and then there's an upgraded version of Hopskip for hotels. Planners only have a paid product that they have access to on the planner side of the platform. So what that means for you as a hotelier is you're never going to be receiving a lead from a Hopskip and from a Cvent, for example. The leads that you get generated from Hopskip are exclusive to the Hopskip planner community. What we're going to talk about today and cover in today's webinar is going through the RFP process, making sure hoteliers know exactly how to efficiently respond to planners' RFPs. We're going to also spend some time in your hotel profile, and I'm going to explain how completeness of your profile can lead to greater awareness and for you to be able to essentially convert those opportunities into leads at a higher conversion rate. And then we're also going to make sure we cover competitive insights and competitive tracking. So we'll cover how you can define your comp set and how you can gain some insights on the competing hotels that you're competing with for the current or active RFP that you're responding to. I definitely want to make sure we emphasize, please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. If we can't answer those questions live, we will definitely make sure that they get answered following the webinar. And we're going to kick today's webinar off before we jump into the demo with a poll for the audience. So we should have a poll getting sent out here momentarily. And if you could please respond to that poll question, it looks like it's already out. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to closing a proposal? So please respond accordingly. And then once we get responses trickling in, we will start with our demo. All right, looks like right now the winner for the response, actually it's tied with not enough info from planners, tied with their ask is too broad / can't compete. It looks like not enough info from planners is the clear winner here, 80-20. Which isn't surprising and is something that we'll definitely cover today and hopefully is obvious to you when you receive Hopskip RFPs on kind of how Hopskip mitigates those scenarios from happening when you receive an opportunity from our platform. Okay, thank you for all that submitted responses to the polls. I'm going to now share my screen here and we'll go through the platform. Give me a moment here. All right. We're going to first start with, as soon as I get this shared, let me take this off. Here we go. Can everyone see my screen? All right, awesome. This is the first page that hoteliers will see when they log into their Hopskip account. This is your RFP dashboard. Think of this as your hub for where you're going to access and respond to RFPs. So each one of these columns right here represents a different stage in the booking process. Each one of these cards represents a different RFP or opportunity your team is currently working or managing. So as you or a planner complete a certain step in the booking process, the RFP will automatically be moved to the next stage. You can also see on the right your recent activity, and then at the top, you'll get some notifications of any unread messages or any RFPs that are overdue for a planner selection or overdue for a response from your side. The other piece that I want to call out that I know a lot of hoteliers typically ask about is, can I see this view in a table format versus a card view, which allows you to be able to see from a list standpoint all of the opportunities and their correlating statuses for each of these RFPs. I'm going to go into an RFP here in a moment, but first I'm going to show you your hotel profile and how you can best optimize that profile for increased awareness and for increased opportunities. So to access your hotel profile, you're going to click the hotel icon on the left-hand side of your Hopskip account. Within that profile, you're going to have different tabs on the left-hand side. Each one of these tabs is a different section of your profile. The first tab is really where you're going to put in some standard information around your location. The description tab is super important, and I'll explain why here in a moment. This is where you're going to be able to add additional attributes for your property and define things like, the year that your property opened, the year that it was last renovated. You can share your website or virtual tour links. Any of your social links are also available. This is where you would also add your description. This is important because these are all attributes that planners care about and review during the hotel search phase of the sourcing process. Now, another key thing to understand about your hotel and the profile on Hopskip is your hotel is appearing in search results in a certain order based on the completeness of your profile. So it's very important to come in and make sure that the attributes that need to get defined so that your profile obtains a certain score that's going to optimize your presence in search. So I definitely recommend for all of those hoteliers on today's webinar, after our webinar, to go into your profile on Hopskip and make sure that certain attributes are defined, like your star ratings, the hotel type, any amenities that you may offer, awards and recognition, another key attribute that not only goes into your hotel profile score, but also something that planners care deeply about when reviewing or evaluating hotels to add to their RFP. Okay, I'm going to quickly go down through the rest of the tabs just to make sure everybody knows how to access and where to access, and then we'll jump into an RFP. Your Photos tab is where you're going to be able to add, depending on which subscription tier you're on. The free version, you're going to be limited to a certain number of photos. And then on the premium version, you can have unlimited photos. But no matter if you're on free or paid, you have full control over your profile and you have full control specifically over your photos. So you can come in, upload photos, label these photos, and make sure that these photos are as up to date as possible, because we know many of our hotel partners have gone through renovations over the years, and we want to make sure that your profile is appearing in the best light possible to other planners. Let's now go to guest rooms. So this is a new feature on Hopskip where you can define the guest room types that your property offers. So to do so, I just click on this toggle. I can add additional guest room types. These additional guest room types are going to add up to this total room count here at the top. Another major attribute of your hotel's profile is if you offer meeting space, which I know many of you do, since a lot of our planners, over 80% of them, are booking event space and a room block at the same time. Please make sure this will help save your team time and also help increase your probability of receiving RFPs, because planners care deeply about understanding a hotel's meeting space capacity when reviewing potential hotels to request proposals from. So I definitely recommend you also come into this section of the profile, make sure that, total number of meeting rooms, largest meeting space, total meeting space square foot, as well as highest or excuse me, the ceiling height in the highest meeting room is defined, and a virtual tour link or floor plan link if you have them. This section down here is where you're going to define your capacity chart. This is important because, again, we display this information to planners when they're searching for and reviewing potential hotels to request proposals from. So to add a room, you just simply click add room. You would define that room name. You would put it in the dimensions. You can define all the capacities for the different room layouts. And then you click add. And then that room will be added to this table. Of course, any rooms that you've already added that need to be edited, you just click that pencil icon and you can edit away. The preview tab is where you're able to see actually how your property appears to planners and search results. So I just mentioned, all of the different attributes that planners care about when they're searching for and reviewing hotels to request proposals from. By clicking in this card, you're going to see what the planner sees when reviewing your property. So you'll see, the star ratings, of course, the location, the chain, brand, hotel type. You'll see any affiliated organizations to your property. So like Visit Tampa Bay, for example, would be an example here for the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay. You'll see as well those dates that I mentioned around last renovation and date opened, awards and recognition, your description, your rooms and event space summary, proximity to local airports, and then your meeting space. So this is what we were just looking at on the previous meeting space tab within your hotel profile. And this is where that information around the capacities for each room, as well as their dimensions, will be displayed. All right. I'm going to continue on for the sake of time here. But again, any questions that we're not able to answer on the spot, we'll make sure we get them clarified for you following today's webinar. Lastly, I want to show you, which is really not necessarily going to drive your hotel up in awareness in search, but will help your team with efficiency, is your proposal settings. So these are settings that you can set up that's going to pre-populate in all of your proposals. So for example, if you have a standard expiration day for your proposals, if you have standard, room and amenity fees or taxes, by populating this information once in your hotel profile, the next time that you receive an RFP that you're going to place a bid on, this information is already done for you, making it that much quicker for you to be able to review and respond to the RFP. Any food and beverage rates that you already have predefined, this is where you would be able to add or edit those rates. So for example, our continental breakfast, I could put a rate in here. I could select, is this per person? Say $25. That's per person. It's taxable, and I click save. Now that's defined. If a planner is requesting F&B for continental breakfast, I don't even need to enter any information because that's going to pre-populate for me. You could further customize your decline reasons. So whenever a hotel turns down a planner's RFP, we ask you to provide a reason why. Hotels can come in, create, customize their own. Whenever a planner turns down your proposal, we ask them to provide a reason why as well. Lastly, I'm going to show you your comp set tab. So this is important for those hotels that are on the premium subscription of Hopskip, because defining your comp set allows you to be able to unlock a few different things on Hopskip. One, it's going to unlock the ability to get even more increased awareness, because Hopskip's going to recognize when those comp set hotels get requested for a proposal on a planner's RFP to show the planner, hey, these other hotels are very similar to these hotels that you're already interested in. Would you be interested in including them for a request for a proposal? What it also does is it unlocks comp set reporting. So you'll be able to understand and benchmark against the hotels that you define in your comp set in your comp set dashboard that I'll get to here later in the webinar. But to add a hotel to your comp set, super easy. You click add new. I'm going to define that hotel. Let's say Marriott Tampa Bay. I add that hotel. Now that hotel's added. And then I'm going to now be able to see when I get to the comp set dashboard how our hotel is ranking or benchmarking against that hotel I just added, as well as the existing hotels in our comp set. Lastly, before we jump into the RFP, I'm just going to quickly cover team members and document library sections of your profile. If you need to add additional folks to your team that are on your sales team today, but might not have Hopskip accounts, super easy to do. Just click invite, enter that email address. And then for those sales teams that are, let me back up for a second. When you add a hotel team member, they're going to receive an email notification from Hopskip. All they have to do from that email notification is click a button that says create my Hopskip account. They're going to get brought right back to Hopskip to create a username and password. From there, Hopskip will recognize that they're part of your property and they'll be able to access and respond to RFPs. Now, where I was going with this toggle, send all RFPs, for those hotels that have lead catchers, this is what you want turned on for that lead catcher. So what that means is send all RFPs means whenever there's a new RFP, that address that has this toggle turned on will be the one who gets notified of all new leads. From there, that lead catcher can open up the lead and assign it to the respective sales manager. Lastly is your document library. So if you have any standard documents that you typically share in addition to the proposal details when responding to RFPs, maybe like a banquet menu or a floor plan, you can do so by adding them to your document library in your hotel profile. And then from there, you'll have the option to select from a dropdown and include this document in your proposals or set it up to automatically be included in every proposal. Alrighty, now we are going to jump into reviewing and responding to an RFP. So to do so, I'm going back to my RFP dashboard, which can easily be accessed at any time by clicking this RFP icon on the left side of your hotel, or excuse me, of your Hopskip account. I'm going to jump into this RFP, and I can access an RFP by just clicking on the card. Whenever I open an RFP for the first time, Hopskip is going to inform me that the RFP is now going to switch from status of new to in progress or under review. And what that means from your side is you've opened the RFP, you've begun to review it, and then assign it. We will also trigger a notification to the planner, letting them know the hotel has begun reviewing the RFP, but has not yet responded to it. This pop-up that just appeared on my screen was actually letting me know that I've already opened up the RFP, but since I've opened it up initially, the planner has actually updated the request, which would require me to potentially update my response or my proposal. Once you open up a Hopskip RFP, the first thing we show you as a hotelier is your request summary. This is supposed to be a one-page snapshot of what the opportunity is for. So you're able to make a key decision or fast decision on whether or not this is an opportunity you even want to bid on. So you'll see things here like peak room nights, largest event space needed. You'll see the contract signer location. You'll see the planner contact information and the key dates. We'll also make sure that you're able to see whether or not those dates are flexible and if there's any alternate dates that the planner's provided. Because our job at Hopskip, or our goal at Hopskip, is to be able to optimize RFPs and conversions for your hotels. And we always ask the planner to specify if other dates are valid for this specific request. Because we know always receiving dates that are not flexible isn't ideal for hotels to win business. So you'll see on your RFP summary what the opportunity looks like at a high level. You'll see on your program info tab key things about the group profile, the event profile, any deal breakers or success criteria that the planner has defined for this RFP. You'll also see on your event history section any history of this specific program. So you'll even be able to identify, where this event was held at in the past, those dates, number of attendees, the rate that the planner received for that event in the past, as well as the peak rooms and F&B spend. Lastly, on the contract details, I'll be real quick here. This is where you're going to be able to see details around the contract signer location, which we know also helps a lot of hotel sales teams be able to assign the lead to the appropriate salesperson. Your proposal builder section of the proposal is where you're actually going to build out the proposal, right? So this is where you're going to see at the top a summary of the room block request. You'll see again, peak room nights, total room nights. And then down here is where you're going to be able to add the actual room rate for the date that you want to bid on. So if this planner allowed me to propose new dates, I would just click this propose new dates button. This planner, you can see, requested 2 different room types. So I'm going to put in a room rate, for run of house, and then I could put in a room rate for the single room types that she requested. Once I enter those rates or complete the any tab, you're going to see a red exclamation mark change to a green check mark, which tells me that I provided enough information for this section of the proposal and I'm able to continue creating the proposal. So for your event space tab, give me a sec here. Your event space tab, this is where you're going to be able to see the event space request from the planner. So again, in every section of a proposal, you're going to see a summary at the top. And then below that is where you're able to add the details for your proposal. So this hotelier's already came in and started assigning rooms. But let's say, I'm seeing for day 1, this registration, I need a 24-hour hold. I click on that room type, and then this is where I'm able to assign the existing meeting space in my property. So this hotel user on Hopskip has already gone in to their hotel profile and has defined all of their meeting space. So it's super easy for me to be able to assign a meeting room and all of the details will populate. One thing that we found in Hopskip is planners really care about when they receive proposals, being able to know, if possible, where their event is actually taking place in the property. So as much as you can, defining or assigning meeting rooms at the time of submitting proposal, we've seen a huge uptick in conversion as a result of that. So that's definitely a suggestion. And that's, of course, available on both the free and the paid version. I just updated I just updated a room in day 1. Hopskip recognizes that I made an update to one of those meeting rooms in day 1, and that meeting room also repeats for day 2, day 3, and day 4. So it's asking me, hey, instead of going line by line and updating those manually, do I want to update all the following days with that new meeting room assignment? I'm going to click yes, and now that's updated, and that meeting room is assigned to the same meeting room for all 4 days. If I also wanted to provide any food and beverage details for a specific room, right? Because on Hopskip, planners are requesting F&B sometimes in their meeting space request. I could easily do so. And I'm able to do so by clicking on, just like I was showing you, this little room name assignment. And from here, you're able to add and define your F&B. I'm going to continue going on for the sake of time here. But again, if anybody has any questions that I'm not answering on the spot, we'll make sure that those get answered following the webinar. Your food and beverage tab is where you're able to see the details of the F&B request provided from the planner. Now, you're able to do one of 2 things on Hopskip when it comes to F&B. The first is you can provide an F&B minimum, or you can provide detailed rates, which planners do prefer, but we also understand it's not always possible at the time of submitting a proposal. And potentially the planner hasn't provided enough detail for you to be able to do so. So when we get through the proposal here, I'll show you how that works, but I wanted to make sure that was called out because some planners will look at F&B details as a deal breaker for them selecting a property. If they did elect F&B details to be entered in their proposal, you can obviously see where I can adjust this right on my screen. So like I could say 15, this is for 15 people and it's at a rate of, $25 per person for coffee. Your questions tab of the proposal is where you're able to see the questions planners need answers to before electing a hotel to move forward with. So First question, right? I'm seeing, does your main ballroom or conference room offer natural light? I can respond yes or no. Whether or not I provide an answer yes or no, I can also add any additional comments here. To go to the next question, I'm simply clicking next. Once you get through all of the questions, you're going to again see this red exclamation mark change to a green check mark. And that's when I know I provided enough detail to move forward. Concessions. This is where planners on Hopskip today, they are, as you probably already know, even outside of Hopskip, requesting concessions to be included with the proposal. So planners will have these documented in their RFP. You'll have them documented when reviewing and responding to a proposal. For any concession that you want to deny, you just click deny. That's going to still allow you to submit a proposal, but will show to the planner that you've denied or declined this specific concession. For any concession that you do want to offer, you just simply click offer, and then you'll have the ability to put in a dollar value for that specific concession that you're approving. And why that's important is actually because planners will use that and treat that as a form of cost savings. So when we show planners your proposal, we're showing, all the concessions you approved, and we're showing the dollar values associated with those approved concessions. And we'll always provide you the ability to define what that dollar value is. The next tab, just to keep it moving here. So you can, before I leave this, you'll see the dollar value of the concessions that you've offered, and that total will appear in the top right. Contract clauses. So this is where planners are able to request contract language to be included in the agreement, right? We know hotels are typically the ones providing the agreement on their paper, but we also want to make sure hotels don't have any aha or surprise moments when you get all the way through the proposal process and negotiation process, and then find out that there's a contract term that the planner wants included in the agreement that's not going to fly with your legal department, for example. So we ask planners to include all this information up front when creating and submitting RFPs. So from here, all you have to do is simply acknowledge the inclusion request from the planner, and you're good to move forward. This hotel has actually already acknowledged both of these, so I'm able to continue moving on. My general tab is where I'm able to see things like, where can the planner reach out to if they have any questions? So this is where you would provide your contact information. You can specify when the proposal expires, any cutoff date that you want associated, and then any promotions that you also might want to throw in to sweeten the deal. The next section I'm going to show you here is the taxes and fees. So this is where it's pretty critical that you take a look at this on every proposal, because this can impact the total projected cost that planners see when reviewing, comparing, responding to proposals. So this hotelier has already come in. You can see they pre-populated these amenity fees, attrition rates, taxes and fees, all because this planner's already, this hotelier set up their profile to automatically have this data included. Lastly, attachments. So we know some hotels like to provide additional details or some marketing materials maybe on their property that live outside of the proposal. So to do so, you can do one of two things. If they're uploaded already to your document library, you would just click add from document library, or if it's a brand new document that's not yet in Hopskip, you just click upload new document, drag and drop, and then that document or PDF will be shared with the planner when you submit your proposal. All right, I am now going to go to the review proposal tab, which is going to be a summary of the proposal that you just built. You're able to, of course, review it, edit it, correct it before submitting. This is where you can see as well how complete it is. So I can tell that there's still some remaining information that I need to provide in order to submit the proposal. For the sake of this demo and time involved, I'm going to not go back to those tabs, but I do want to call this out is because some hotels, they might be struggling to figure out what remaining information needs to be added to their proposal in order to submit it. Well, this section will tell you that information. And you can click view for any information that is missing, and Hopskip will take you right back to that page or that tab within your proposal to add that additional detail. So as you can see right here, this is what's missing. And now I would have a green check mark. I'm not going to go through the rest of the missing information just for the sake of time, but that's how you would be able to easily identify any required information still remaining to be added. Once I submit the proposal, which I do so by clicking the Submit Proposal button, I'm going to also be able to identify how competitive my proposal is compared to the other hotels that I'm competing against to win this planner's business. So what I mean by that is, for the hotels on the paid or premium subscription of Hopskip, you're going to have this dashboard unlocked. This dashboard is going to tell you how competitive your proposal is versus the other competing hotels. And you'll be able to identify things like, what does my room rate look like to the other hotels competing to win the business? What does my F&B quote look like compared to the other hotels that I'm competing with to win the business? You'll also see the specific hotel properties that you're competing with to win the planner's business. Now, we won't surface at the individual rate level. We will take an average across all of those competing hotels to populate this section of the dashboard. Once the RFP has been awarded, you will, if you're on the premium subscription of Hopskip, be able to identify the specific hotel's name and that hotel's specific winning guest room rate, which will appear in the winning hotel intelligence section of the dashboard. And then lastly, you'll be able to identify and follow along every single milestone that it took to win this planner's business, starting from when the RFP was sent all the way through proposal being submitted and the contract being awarded. Okay. The last couple sections of the proposal that I'll just quickly cover here is communication with the planner. We get asked about this quite frequently. So on Hopskip, I want to make sure everybody knows we do not try and ever get in the way of hotels and planners building relationships, right? We know that this industry is relationship driven. Hopskip is designed to be able to help create new connections and strengthen existing connections. So we'll never get in the way of you communicating directly with the planner. One of the ways you can communicate directly with the planner on Hopskip is through your message planner tab of the proposal. So this is where you can communicate in real time by just typing a message. Hopskip, you click send message. Hopskip will then notify the planner that they have a message from you. You'll see any unread messages that you may have in a few different places. You'll get an email notification. You'll also be informed on your RFP dashboard that I was showing earlier in the demo if you have any messages across all your RFPs that are currently unread from planners. On the right-hand side, you'll also not have to leave this section to get further details of the RFP. So we'll summarize what the request is for, and then any program info that the planner shared will also be available on this program info tab inside the message planner feature. Lastly, reports. So today, the free and paid version of Hopskip have access to these 3 reports. They are a PDF version of the RFP. They are a PDF version of your proposal. And then you'll get an Excel version of your proposal that you submitted once you submit it. And then these 2 buttons that say download for these 2 reports will be available for you to download. Lastly, I'll call out here, if you're not submitting a proposal, very important to make sure you turn it down. You can simply click the turn down button to do so. Hopskip is going to confirm, hey, you actually want to turn this down, or do you want to submit, alternate dates that the planner has allowed you to do so. I'm going to click turn down request, and then it's going to show the status of this RFP as being turned down by the hotel. We're going to inform the planner that you've turned down the property for this specific reason. You would be able to provide a reason why and any comments. And let's just say things have changed and the planner now has updated their RFP for you to be able to now bid on the opportunity. Well, all I would have to do in Hopskip is go back into my turn down RFP, and you would see a button that says update and submit proposal. So you'll get informed if that scenario happens. And it happens quite a bit where planners initially thought from their client that these dates were not under consideration. The clients changed, for whatever reason, their course of action for the event. They're now able to accept proposals for these date ranges that you initially thought were not on the table. You can easily come back into Hopskip. You're not going to lose that opportunity, and you could submit a proposal by just updating your previously declined request. All right. Lastly, let me make sure I also call out how you can assign a lead. So I came into this RFP. If I opened it up initially, so it's automatically going to add myself as the hotelier as the person assigned. Let's say, though, I need to assign it to the appropriate salesperson. And if I have those sales folks built out on my team members tab of my hotel proposal, I just simply select that person from my drop down. And then from here, they're going to get an email once I click assign RFP. And that email is going to say, Sean has assigned you RFP XYZ. They'll click a button, be brought right back into Hopskip. If they need to create an account, they'll create that free account, and it will automatically associate them with your property, and they'll jump right into the RFP to begin reviewing and responding. Okay, now let me just do a pause, make sure there's not any questions that I haven't answered yet in the chat. Perfect. Now let's go to the dashboard section, or the reporting and analytics section of your hotel account. So some of these dashboards are going to be showing as blurred to some folks on the call, and they'll be showing as not blurred for other folks on the call. What that means is these dashboards are for the premium subscription type on Hopskip. So if you're on the free version, you won't necessarily have access to these unless you upgrade. But I still thought it would be informative to go over just to make sure everybody knows what's available to them and how they can use this information moving forward. So by clicking this reports and analytics icon, I'm going to have access to these 4 dashboards. The first dashboard here is your sales performance. So at any point in time, you can understand in real time how your performance has been on the Hopskip platform. You'll see everything from your booked revenue to your win rate to the total room nights booked, etc. You'll be able to understand from a pipeline standpoint, how many opportunities have you received? Out of those opportunities, how many proposals did you submit? Or what's your bid rate looking like? And ultimately, how much revenue or bookings have you been able to generate from the Hopskip platform? So you'll have full detailed access and visibility across your entire pipeline on Hopskip at any point by just clicking on reports and analytics and sales performance. Down here is where you're able to see a breakdown of your response time. We know from spending so much time with hotels over the years, and planners for that matter, how important it is to be able to respond in an adequate fashion. So definitely making sure you're monitoring and engaging with your response time benchmarking, because we've seen at Hopskip an increase in conversion for those hotels that are faster than others in responding. Any opportunities you've turned down, you'll see on your turn down dashboard. So this is where you've received leads, you felt like they were not a fit, or you felt like you didn't have availability that matched the planner's needs. You'll see the details of those opportunities on your turn down tab. On the opportunities lost tab is where you're going to be able to identify any RFPs that you did bid on, but you did not win. So this section of the dashboard is actually getting reworked as we speak. You're going to be able to also, in the next couple of days, understand out of those opportunities you bid on, but you did not win, what were the advantages that the hotels that did win, what did they have versus what my property might have been lacking? So you'll see that information displayed on the dashboard here in the next couple of days. But today, what I wanted to call out was this section of the dashboard that's going to show you all of the opportunities or RFPs that you did lose, who actually won them, right? So you'll understand the actual hotel names and the rates that those hotels submitted in their proposals, broken down from guest room rates as well as F&B, and then you'll see the total room rate and the reasons for why you lost. And those reasons, again, come directly from the planner. Lastly, comp set dashboard. So this dashboard is where, as I mentioned earlier in the demo, your comp set comes into play, right? And it comes into play and provides you advantages of defining that comp set in two places I mentioned. The first is increasing your awareness and opportunities that you receive from Hopskip planners. And the second is through reporting. So by defining your comp set in your hotel profile, you're able to then have access or essentially populate this dashboard. Again, those with access would be the hotels on the premium version of their Hopskip subscription. You're going to be able to understand what's your average booking value versus your comp set. Understanding things like, how does my ADR compare to my comp set? What's the average room nights my comp set books versus my property? What's the group type distribution for my property compared to my comp set? What about the event type distribution? How does that break down between my hotel and my comp set? And which industries are showing the most love to my property versus the other hotels in my comp set? All that information can be accessed on your comp set dashboard. And then lastly, this is a new addition to the dashboard where you're going to be able to see by hotel name how you're stacking up against your competitor set. Everything from number of leads or opportunities you've received. What's that average opportunity value looking like compared to your property versus your comp set? ADR versus your comp set. Average room nights versus your comp set. Total bookings generated from my hotel versus my comp set. And the overall booking value for my property versus my comp set. So each one of these columns in this table is sortable. So you can essentially stack rank yourself or your property across any of these metrics compared to your comp set. Now, one of the additions we recently made to the comp set feature on Hopskip is you're now allowed to define hotels in your comp set that actually sit outside of your market. What that allows you to do is to be able to benchmark against those out of market hotels on this comp set dashboard. And to identify that, I would just click on this same market or outside market toggle here. And then I can do that same exercise by stack ranking my property versus my comp set. All right, I know we're getting close to time here, so I think we've covered a good amount so far. We've gone over RFP review, proposal submission, hotel profile completeness, and the reports and analytics. I'm going to end with this last section, which is, again, for hotels under the premium version of Hopskip, which is your promotions. So another advantage to hotels on the premium subscription is the ability to create special offers and promotions. To do so, I click on this promotions tab, which is found on my left-hand side of my Hopskip account, this little horn here. I'm able to create a promotion by clicking create promotion. And before I get into the details of how to actually create the promotion, I'll back up a second and explain what a promotion or special offer means on Hopskip. So just like you would create a special offer or promotion outside of Hopskip, you're able to create one in Hopskip today. And what that is going to also further allow you to do, in addition to being able to add it to an existing proposal to sweeten the deal or increase your odds of converting, it also allows you to be able to target where you want that promotion best optimized for. So what I mean by that is you're able to specify things like, this promotion is really designed for no more than 150 guest rooms on peak, or really best for a corporate group. What Hopskip will do is essentially match those attributes that you define in the promotion to best position that promotion across our planner group. What I mean by that is, let's say, you define this promotion's best suited for the consulting industry and it's best suited for a conference, right? When a planner creates an RFP that the group type is, or the group industry is consulting and the event type is conference, Hopskip's going to match your promotion and put that promotion in front of that specific planner, providing you with the highest probability of getting elected or selected to be requested for a proposal for that given RFP. You can also put in any target booking dates. So you can get really customized and really targeted when creating promotions on Hopskip. Any questions on that? Okay, awesome. I'm glad folks are liking the promotions feature. So I won't go through this in detail. This is all standard information that I know everyone here is super familiar with, that you would add like terms and conditions and photos. But the important piece is once you add that information, making sure you click publish or scheduling it for a later date. So some sales leaders will come in here and they'll create promotions for the entire upcoming year and then schedule those accordingly so that they're not running in parallel and they can fine tune exactly when they want that promotion to go live. I think for the sake of time, we should probably stop here. I hope this was, helpful and informative. One of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward on Hopskip is having these on some kind of routine frequency. So please, we definitely welcome any feedback or any questions that you were hoping didn't get answered, or you were hoping did get answered but didn't. Please let us know, and we'll make sure that they're addressed for the upcoming webinar. Right now, I think we're slated to do these monthly or so. So if you couldn't make today's webinar, like I mentioned, they're going to be recorded, but we plan to do these on a consistent basis so that we can provide, ongoing training and support to our hotel partners, as well as our planner partners. So thank you everyone who attended today's webinar. Really appreciate the engagement. And I hope it was informative. If there's any questions that do pop up outside of the webinar, you know where to find us. We'll get this recording distributed by early next week at the latest, and we hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend and rest of your day.